Well, comedian Al Franken might be best known for his Saturday Night Live character, Stuart Smalley. To some, take a look.
I'm going to do a terrific show today, and I'm going to help people because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Hello. He now wants people to like him, of course, in a new way. He's running for U.S. Senate in Minnesota, and he's now more than likely to be the Democratic nominee. Al Franken joins us now from Minneapolis. Are you sick of seeing that yet?
Well, fortunately, I didn't see it. We don't have a monitor here, but no, I really am proud of that character. In fact, the movie Stuart Saves His Family is used by rehabs all over the country in their especially in their family programs. I'm very proud of that movie.
How do you, when you go out there and you campaign, how do you make that transition and make the voters of Minnesota know that, that you used to be a comedian, but now you're a serious politician who thinks that you can do well for that state?
I think this has not been a huge problem. When people hear me speak, they know I take the issues very seriously. They hear me speak from my heart and my gut and my brain, so it hasn't been a problem, and that's why I'm really in a very good position now to be the nominee and to take on Norm Coleman.
Speaking of taking on Norm Coleman, the National Republican Congressional Committee describes you as, quote, one of the most extreme and radical candidates for public office in years. Al Franken's mean-spirited and nasty partisanship is a clear contrast from Norm Coleman. Now, he is saying that he's the moderate in this, he's only voted with his party 77% of the time. How can you prove that you're not really a partisan candidate, that you can be a senator for all people, including conservative Republicans in your state?
Well, that attack on me is something that I expect, and it sounds kind of partisan to me. Does it sound kind of partisan to you, Karen?
Well, it's coming from the Republican Congressional Committee describing you.
Look,
they're trying to paint their candidate, let's put it this way, as someone who's maybe more moderate and inclusive.
Look, Norm Coleman pretty much told the people of Minnesota where he was at 6 months after he became senator, 6 months after Paul Wellstone died. He said to roll call, this is a quote, "To be blunt, I'm a 99% improvement over Paul Wellstone." When he apologized 3 days later, he said, what I meant was I'm a 99% improvement over Paul Wellstone in terms of supporting this White House. And he was attached at the hip with President Bush. He voted with the White House 98% of the time the first year. When you talk about seriousness, here's a guy whose policy on the war is to stay the course. His policy on the economy is to stay the course with the Bush economy. Minnesotans want serious solutions to these problems. Staying the course is not serious. And, Tip O'Neill had a word or a phrase for moderates like Norm Coleman. They're always there when you don't need them. He's always looking, he's never the 51st vote. On any issue. He always looks for cover, and now to seem like he's not supporting the president, he votes against him when he has cover.
Now, you quoted something Norm Coleman said. You've said some controversial things in the past. You wrote a book called Rush Limbaugh's a Big Fat Idiot. You said some things about...
Another observation.
You said some things about Karl Rove and Scooter Libby, saying they should be executed for treason because
I did not say that, Karen.
In a joking manner? In a satirical way?
I didn't even say that in a joking manner.
What did you say?
I was on David Letterman's show, and he asked me, this is like the day after it was revealed that they had been participating in the outing of Valerie Plame, and he asked me what was going to happen to him, and I said that President George H.W. Bush, before he was president, was director of the CIA, and George H.W. Bush said that outing a CIA agent was treason. I said, David, you know what the penalty is for treason. And David asked me what was going to happen to them, and I said, so I guess they might be executed, which I'm against. I don't know how, I'm against the death penalty, and I'm afraid that Cheney and Bush might be involved in some way, and so we should pass a constitutional amendment to ban the execution of a sitting president, because that would be very demoralizing to the American people. This was you know, this is exactly what the Republican Party is doing.
Well, this is the CBS Late Show quote. Okay, so the CBS Late Show quote, just so we're clear, and if you say, I mean, you were joking around with Dave Letterman, who's a comedian too, and so basically what it looks like is going to happen is that Libby and Karl Rove are going to be executed because outing a CIA agent is treason. Then you said, you went on to say we should never, ever execute a sitting president. All I'm saying is, when you say things like that in the past and you're running, obviously those
what
things
you
come
said
up.
was that I advocated the execution.
I didn't say advocated. I didn't say you advocated. I'm just talking about when you say things in the past that can be perceived as divisive. How do you then come together and say, you know what, I can be a senator for everyone in the state?
Because people know the difference between being a satirist, and the whole point of that was to show that outing a CIA agent is serious. That's what a satirist does. The satirist points out what is actually serious. And the trick here is they are going to be taking things out of context. And you're right, the Republican Party in Minnesota said that I advocated the execution of those guys, and I wasn't, and it was very clear to the Letterman audience and anyone who saw that. And look, this is just ridiculous. We should be talking about foreclosures on homes. We should be talking about gas prices. We should be talking about loss of jobs. And that's what I'm going to do.
No, I agree.
The reason they want to do this kind of distraction is that Norm Coleman has such a terrible record on these things. So I'm not going to let them do that. And then when they say that I advocated these things, they're only shooting themselves in the foot. They came out with this the day I announced. The day I announced, the first poll came out, said I was 22 points down to Norm Coleman. The last poll has me 3 points ahead of Norm Coleman. This doesn't work. And if they let them continue to do this, I'm going to talk about the problems that face Minnesotans. I'm going to talk about getting to universal health care.
Right, and before we let you go, one of the top issues that we've been talking about is the economy. Of course, the 70+% of economists say it looks like we are in a recession. If you were elected, what would be some of the first things that you would do to try to turn the economy around?
Well, the first thing I would try to do is put a moratorium on foreclosures. Staunch this downward spiral that we're having. You know, every house that's foreclosed upon goes on the market. That's why we've had the floor fall out of the housing market. I would also make sure that people have jobs. I didn't like this stimulus package. I would have used the stimulus package to address deferred infrastructure projects like roads. You know, there's plenty of infrastructure projects in this country that are short-term. We could have put people to work repairing them. They would have had jobs. Those jobs would have created more jobs because they'd be spending money. And then at the end, we'd have repaired infrastructure. We can do that by fixing up foreclosed housing, by retrofitting homes to make them more energy efficient, by making sure that states aren't laying off teachers and nurses and firefighters and police, so we could have pulsed money back to the states. And then long term, we have to do research and development, end this Bush war against science. We have to build an economy that works for everybody, and a green economy that creates jobs and gets us off energy dependence on, and that's why the price of gas and the price of oil is so much that we've done nothing in the last 7 years to get off our dependence on foreign oil. And Norm Coleman has done nothing about it, and President Bush has done nothing about it. There are things that we can do to pulse the economy now, and then there are long-term things that we have to do to get into the 21st century. And get a handle on health care is one of them. We spend twice as much money per person on health care as any other industrialized country. We need universal health care. We need an education system that trains our kids for a 21st century economy. We need to restore our standing in the world. A lot of the reason for the increase in oil prices is the war in Iraq and the uncertainty that we've caused in Iran.
I'm getting told we have to go, but I really appreciate you weighing in on these issues. And you're welcome anytime. Al Franken, U.S. senatorial candidate out of Minnesota, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Karen.
And by the way, one quick note, we also did invite Senator Norm Coleman to appear, so the open invitation still stands for next week.
Perhaps we'll get him on soon.